Hi, you received an error email from Salesforce called number of iterations exceeded when you were running your flow in Salesforce. Well, this is a built-in limit from Salesforce, and let's have a look though at what causes this issue and more importantly how we can resolve it. So let's go through my example step by step and we will fix this and you can then adapt your flow accordingly. Okay, so let's look at our example. To demonstrate this, I've created a campaign and the campaign has 1,000 contacts, and the idea is that for each contact there should be an opportunity created. And again, we have 1,000 contacts, so let's create now 1,000 opportunities. And I do this by clicking this button. In a second we will have a look at the flow that generates those opportunities, but while we wait to receive the error message with this limit, we can then have a look at the flow. So first of all, I'll click here this checkbox, and again this should create 1,000 opportunities. So I click here save, and while this is working, let's have a look at the flow. First of all, it's a record triggered flow, and basically I look on this checkbox that I just created here, or create an opportunity for each member in this campaign. So whenever this is true, the flow will get all campaign members that belong to this campaign, and it will loop through each member. And first of all, it will create a new opportunity and assign all the necessary values, and then it will add this opportunity into a collection of opportunities, and then we will just have some dummy task, which is just an additional task to create this, or to receive this, to reach this limit even faster. So for each member we have those tasks that we do, and in the end, with one submit, basically with one save action, we would like to save the entire collection. So without this limitation of the 2,000 actions, this should actually work. But if I go here back to this campaign, then you will see the opportunities were not created, and we instead have received an error message. The error message that I received, basically it says that an error occurred during the flow, and this is the name of the flow, and the error message though is number of iterations exceeded. So you have received the same message just with the name of your flow, and if you scroll down you will see that basically it loops through all campaign members in my example, or in your example just through all the elements, and at some point it simply receives this, it hits this limit. And if I Google this, then this is basically the information about it. So the flow error, number of iterations exceeded, and what's written here, that there is a limit of 2,000 executed elements within a loop. And in detail, you see here the explanation in detail, but basically what it means is that when you loop through a collection, then once this loop starts, then you're not allowed to call more than 2,000 elements to perform 2,000 actions. And as soon as you do this, even if the loop itself has less than 2,000 items, but still you can exceed this amount by doing more than 2,000 actions, or using more than 2,000 elements. And as soon as you do this, then you will hit this limitation. Why we hit this limit? So we are looping through 1,000 campaign members, and for each one we do this first performance here. We touch this element, this loop element. This is the first one, and then we assign a new opportunity. This is the second one, and then we'll add it to the collection, the third one, and we have a dummy action. So this is the fourth one. So for 1,000 elements, we do 4 actions. This results in 4,000 elements that we use, and this obviously exceeds this limit of 2,000. So now that we have seen why this error was caused, let's have a look at how we can resolve this. So I've created here a summary of basically what's the goal of our new solution and what the tasks are to do this. You will find this thing just below this video at the description of this video. And by the way, if you find any value in this video, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel to receive also more solutions of this kind. So how do we solve this? Well, first of all, we have to limit the amount of elements that we process. We need to limit the amount, in this case, of campaign members that we process at a time. This is one thing, and the other thing is that while running through this flow, and we will reduce the amount of elements processed, we need to then call this same flow again and again until all elements were processed, but basically in a batch mode. So how are we going to do this? First of all, we will create an index to each element that we would like to process. In my case, it's the campaign member. In your case, to whatever object you're looping through. Here you need to add an index, basically a counter. Each element needs to have a different number. Second, we need to set the counter at the parent object. In this example, we need to add a counter to understand how many objects have we already processed. We want to process 1,000, but where are we currently standing at? This is the second thing that we'll do. Third, we will obviously limit the amounts of records that we are processing in this flow. Then we will move this flow away from running immediately or running asynchronously, because this really keeps this flow in one piece. We will move this into a scattered path where each path runs one after the other. And lastly, we will take care that this flow calls itself again and again. So those steps now in the system. First of all, I need an index on the element that I'm looping through. So I'm looping here through the campaign member. So let's create a record, an index on the campaign member. Let's go to the objects and search for campaign member. And we'll add here, first of all, an auto number field, and let's call it index auto number. We will use this formatting. We will start at the number 1, and we will generate this number for all existing records. Good. So now we need a new field of pure type a number because the auto number returns a text field, so we really need to extract from that just the number, and for that scenario we use a formula field. We call it index and it's of type number, and we will simply extract here this auto number field. And because this is a text field and we will use a number, we will need to use this method called value. This returns the number value of this field. Let's check that everything is correct. And we will use this one and have this one displayed on the campaign member. Next step is we need to go to the parent object and have their information stored on how many records we already have processed. And for that reason we will create two fields. One is indicating how many times did the flow already run, and the second one is showing us the position of all the records that we have processed already. So let's create now those two fields. We go to the campaign, object, and we will create two number fields. The first one is called round, for example. And the second one is called position. Great. Let's add those two fields to the page layout as well. And to have it a bit nicer displayed, let's have all those fields put in one place. So basically this is the round and this is the position, so all we need is really in one place, so this helps the understanding of where we are. We need to set a default value for the round field because it should always start at the beginning, basically at the first round, and therefore we need to set the default value. That's really important, and the default value should be 0, so really we can start really each time at the beginning. Next step is probably the most complex one. We will need to limit the amount of elements that we are processing here, and for that one, to do this we will need to have a starting point, and we will need to consider the round where we are in, and we'll also save the current position so we have full information on the campaign. So let's do this in the flow. First of all, instead of calling really all campaign members, we will limit it now. We will limit it to the index. And as we've just added the index before, we will need to refresh here the flow. Great. So now we can use this new field, index is greater than or equal a starting point. This is a number. and we will start here, and then we will limit it though is smaller, less than the ending point. And the ending point is a formula that we use. And basically, it is the starting point plus, and here really this is up to you how many records you would like to process each round. For my scenario where we have 4 elements that run all the time, I'll just choose here 200, so 200 records will be created each time. You can really, based on your scenario, you can have here a bigger number or a smaller number, but I'm choosing now 200. So what happens now is that we will call campaign members in batch sizes of 200, where we have a starting point and an ending point, and for each of those we will create a opportunity. Now let's assign the starting point. So for that reason we'll do an assignment, and we'll call that assign starting point. So the starting point really is equal to a formula, calculate starting point, and so first of all, what is it? What do we need? We will need the first campaign member, and we'll take here the index. That's one thing that we need. Then we need the round. From the current record from the campaign, we'll need the round. And what else do we need? We need those 200. So basically what we're saying is the following. Let's start at really the index, and we'll add to that plus. We'll add to that the number of rounds that we're in times 200. Because just before we set the batch size of 200, and we'll multiply this by the number of rounds, and we'll add we'll add this to the first index, and this is our starting point. So whenever we get the campaign members, we'll start here at the right point. We'll add then 200 to this, and calling therefore in batch sizes of 200. Next step is we move this entire flow into a scheduled path, meaning currently, probably also in your scenario, it's either running immediately or asynchronously. So we need to add here a new path, which is called, for example, run at 0 minutes. Because we don't really like to have a time lag here, but still it won't be run automatically one after the other, but we'll have a small time delay. So therefore we'll use here 0 minutes after. So what that means, each call to the flow is run 0 minutes, which is almost immediately after the campaign is added. So we'll add this here to the path, and we will now need to connect this run to our logic. So this is now connected, and the asynchronous run can be stopped. You can do this either by setting here a stop sign, or you can also remove the asynchronic call here, down here, and when you deselect this, then the asynchronous run disappears entirely. Step, we need to take care that the flow calls itself again and again, and we do this by calling our trigger. So let's go back briefly to look what triggers this flow to run in the first place. It's a field called generate opportunity for each member. So you go now and have a look at your flow. What is the triggering point? And we need to take care that this one is again triggered. And by the way, I've set this here so that it's only triggering whenever this becomes true. So we need to take care that this condition is fulfilled all the time. So how do we do this? First of all, we can create here an update on the triggering record, which is the campaign, and call this reset trigger. And we'll go for that field and set it to false right in the beginning of the flow. And in the end, we will though obviously do the opposite. We will again do an update on the campaign called set trigger. And we'll set it to true. And by doing this, we will call this same flow again. Now, this is an important step, obviously, to have this called again. But what we need to do in addition to that is we need to set the round as well. The round is basically a formula. Add 1 to round. We'll just have here this being called again. So record round plus 1. And we also are setting our position to, for example, the starting point. So we'll see the starting points being increased, and also we have the rounds being increased, and therefore we will see basically live on the campaigns what the current status is. Okay, so I'll save the flow, activate, and let's have then a look on how the system reacts. That we must add is a point where this entire mechanism stops. So basically the stopping point is here, get campaign members. So what we're asking here is that if no campaign members were found based on the new starting index, then we must stop. So let's just call this new decision and check if campaign members are found. Yes, campaign members found. That's basically the case when get campaign members. Here, sorry, campaign members is null. When this is false, then we have found campaign members, and then we'll continue. So we'll and if no campaign members found, then we need to stop. Yes, so now we have a stopping point, and this prevents our mechanism from running endlessly. So I'll save that one now, and let's go over to the campaign and trigger this. Here at our campaign, and I can see that we have those 1,000 contacts here and still 0 opportunities, and I will now initiate this process by selecting this checkbox. And this doesn't happen immediately. First of all, also to generate those 100 opportunities takes a bit of a time, and then this runs obviously within our scheduled paths. So this doesn't run automatically one after the other. So it takes always a few seconds until the next path is generated. So therefore, I will just show you now in fast forward how this looks like. We are here at our campaign. We can see that the campaign of 1,000 contacts really has now 1,000 opportunities. There were 5 rounds, and the last starting point was number 801. That was the starting point. So this plus 200 really reaches those 1,000 opportunities. And if we go here to our list of opportunities, then we can really see that here are 1,000 opportunities. So thanks so much for watching this. If you found any kind of value in this video, please like this video and subscribe to my channel of sfhappier.com to receive more tips and tricks and ways how to overcome Salesforce limitations. Thank you so much.